How you doing, everybody? Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks here. I need to clear something up. I've made a mistake. A pretty good mistake, too, as far as I'm concerned. A couple weeks ago, I was on Nikki Collins' Sasquatch Secrets podcast as a guest. And in the midst of our conversation, we got talking about science and I went on one of my rants, and I had mentioned that I had screenshot multiple scientists, including the late great Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and that these scientists were enthusiastic about us researchers. And I said, right out of the, you know what, I'll clip that part and put it right in here. But I said something along the lines of, right out of the mouth of the late, great Dr. Jeff Meldrum, said that they're taking a good look at and enthusiastic about pseudoscience.
Slick. Another Tom Slick of this era who will just throw $1 million at somebody and say, find Bigfoot.
Yeah, I think Dr. Jeff Meldrum had spoke about. Matter of fact, I have screen recorded a handful of scientists who have in the past, in the recent past, and recently, outwardly been on people's podcasts and have outwardly spoke that they are talking amongst themselves and are actively supporting pseudoscience. They have seen the value in amateur wildlife researchers in many different fields, birders, people that are studying bats, and studying all different types of wildlife. And they have admitted some of these folks have gotten very, very, very good.
I'm sorry. Okay. I really didn't know the difference between the two for the most part. I kind of thought one was just like the other. They were one and the same. I should have known better. They are not. And I am sorry. I should not have said that. I should have said citizen science, because there's a big difference between the two. And so now I know, and maybe I'll help some other people out there that didn't know this, know the truth. And so I've brought this up, did an AI search here on my other phone. I'm going to read this to you, and that way we can clear this up. Please accept my apology, and we'll move forward. But I didn't want to waste any time and make sure that this wasn't out there without me fessing up to it. I apologize. All right, here we go. Citizen science is the public's involvement in scientific research, while pseudoscience is a collection of beliefs or practices presented as scientific, but lacking the basis in scientific methodology and evidence. The key difference lies in their adherence to the scientific method. Citizen science uses it to generate new knowledge, whereas pseudoscience does not, and often uses the language of science to support its false claims. Citizen science involves non-professional scientists working with professional scientists to advance research. It actively participates in the scientific process, from data collection to project leadership, with the goal of generating new knowledge. A group of volunteers contributing to a bird count to help a professional ornithologist study migration patterns is an example of citizen science. On the other hand, pseudoscience is a collection of beliefs or practices that are presented as scientific but are not supported by evidence or the scientific method. It does not follow the scientific method. Instead, it relies on weak or selective evidence, logical fallacies, or appeals to authority. It is often unfalsifiable. So there you have it. I apologize, and I do have the clip, and I think it would be only fair that I put that here in this video to wrap things up, so that you can see that the late great Dr. Jeff Meldrum appreciates citizen scientry. So thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
So, most encounters with Sasquatch happen purely by chance, which makes it very challenging then for someone like me who intentionally hopes to go out in the field and collect information, collect data. The chances are really low, and I have to rely on, and that's another reason for coming to these type of events. I rely on the citizen science, the citizen scientists, the amateurs, the avocational Bigfoot enthusiasts who go out and may collect data, may find, or even indirectly bump into people, interview witnesses, and collect that information and make it available.
I think as we try to cultivate this notion of citizen science too, that there are these, like you say, some different pathways. You don't necessarily have to be possess those letters behind your name, a degree, to do good science. You can I've worked with lots of people who are largely self-taught, who are very insightful, very rational and objective in their interpretation of their experiences and the evidence they encounter and so forth. And they bring that's why I always hate to use the word amateur for a, quote, non-professional investigator, because they are often highly skilled, much more so in some areas than I am, whether it's electronics or photography or tracking or you name it. They may bring remarkable skills and experience to the table and make very significant contributions.